In the previous 2 episodes, we mentioned how the publisher initially doubted this file and how the interviewer went from skepticism to belief in it. Next, we will continue with this interview record. The questioner is Ole.K, the respondent is Lacerta. Get ready with your patience and imagination. The answer to the first question will be a long process.
As you have not allowed me to make photos, what would be very useful to prove your real existence and the truth of the story? Can you describe yourself to Tide?
I know that it would be helpful to prove the authenticity of this interview if you can take some photos from me. Otherwise, you humans are very skeptical that's good for us and for the real alien species acting secretly on this planet. So even if you had such photos, many of your kind would say that they are fraud, that I am just a masked human woman or something like that. That would be very offensive for me. You must understand that I can't give you permission to take photos of me or of my equipment. This has various reasons, which I want not to discuss with you further, but one of the reasons is the keeping up of the secrecy of our existence. Another reason is more religious. Nevertheless, you have permission to make drawings of my look and of my equipment I can show you later. I can also try to describe myself, but I doubt that others of your kind will be able to imagine my real look just from simple words, because the automatic denial of the existence of reptilian species and generally of intelligent species other than your own is part of the programming of your mind. Well, I will try. Imagine the body of a normal human woman, and you have at first a good imagination of my body. Like you, I have a head, 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, and 2 feet, and the proportions of my body are like yours. As I am female, I also have 2 breasts. Despite our reptile origin, we have started to give milk to our babies during the evolution process. This happened around 30 million years ago because this is the best thing to keep the young alive. Evolution had done this for your species already in the dinosaur age, and a little bit later also for ours. That means not that we are now real mammals, but the breasts of us are not as large as those of human women, and the size of them is generally equal for every female of my kind. The external reproductive organs for both sexes are smaller than those of humans, but they are visible and they have the same function as yours, another gift of evolution to our species. My skin is mainly of a green-beige color, more pale green, and we have some patterns of brown irregular dots, each dot of the size of 1-2 centimeters on our skin, and in our face the patterns are different for both sexes, but females have more, especially in the lower body and in the face. You can see them in my case as 2 lines over the eyebrows crossing my forehead, at my cheek, and at my chin. My eyes are a little bit larger than human eyes. For this reason, we can see better in the darkness, and usually dominated by the large black pupils, which are surrounded by a small bright green iris. Males have a dark green iris. The pupil is slit and can change its size from a small black line to a wide open egg-shaped oval, because our retina is very light sensitive and the pupil must compare this. We have external round ears, but they are smaller and not as curved as yours. But we can hear better because our ears are more sensitive for sonics. We can also hear a wider range of sounds. There's a muscle or lid over the ears which can completely close them, for example underwater. Our nose is more pointed and there is a V-shaped curving between the nostrils, which enabled the ancestors to see temperature. We have lost most of this ability, but we can still feel the temperature much better with this organ. Our lips are shaped like yours, those of females a little bit larger than those of males, but of a pale brown color, and our teeth are very white and strong and a little bit longer and sharper than your soft mammal teeth. We have no different hair colors like you, but there is a tradition to color the hairs in different ages, and the original color is like mine, a greenish brown. Our hairs are thicker and stronger than yours, and they grow very slowly. In addition, the head is the only part of our body where we have hairs. Our body, arms, and legs are similar in shape and size to yours, but the color is different, green-beige, like the face, and there are scale-like structures on the upper legs over the knee and upper arms over the elbow. Our 5 fingers are a little bit longer and thinner than human fingers, and our skin on the palm is plain, so we have no lines like you, but again a combination of a scale-like skin structure and of the brown dots. Both sexes have the dots on the palm, and we have no fingerprints like you. If you touch my skin, you will feel that it is smoother than your hairy skin. There are small sharp horns on the upside of both middle fingers. The fingernails are gray and generally longer than yours. You see that my nails are not so long and round at the top. This is because I am female. Males have sharp-pointed nails with a length of sometimes 5 or 6 of your centimeters. The following feature is very different from your body and part of our reptilian origin. If you touch the backside of my upper body, you will feel a hard bony line through my clothing. This is not my spine, but a very difficult-shaped external plate structure of skin and tissue following exactly our spine from the head to the hip. There is an extremely high number of nerves and large blood vessels in this structure and in the plates, which are around 2 or 3 centimeters long and very touch-sensitive. This is the reason why we always have problems sitting in chairs with a back like this chair. The main task of these small plates beside our role in our sexuality is simply the regulation of our body temperature, and if we sit in natural or artificial sunlight, these plates become more blood-filled, and the vessels become wider, and the sun is able to heat up our reptiloid blood, which circulates through the body and through the plates for many degrees, and that gives us a great pleasure. What else is different from your kind? Oh, we have no navel because we were born in a different way to your mammal birth. The other exterior differences from your kind are minor, and I think I must not mention them all now, because most of them are not visible if we wear clothing. I hope the description of my body was detailed enough. I would advise you to make some drawings.
What kind of clothing do you generally wear? I suppose this is not the way you dress normally?
No, I wear this human everyday clothing only when I am among humans. To be honest, it's not very comfortable for me to wear such tight things, and it is always a very unusual feeling. If we are in our own home, this means in our subterranean home or in our large artificial sun areas, and if we are together with others near to our own name, we are usually naked. Is this shocking for you? When we are in the public and together with many others of my species, we wear very wide and soft clothing made of thin, light stuff. I have told you that many parts of our bodies are very touch-sensitive, mostly the small back plates, so we can feel comfortable in tight clothing because it can hurt us. Men and women often wear the same kind of clothing, but the colors are different for the sexes.
UV said others near to your own name. Do you mean your family?
No, not really. You would call it family, but with this word you mean only those of your kind, which belong genetically together like father or mother and child. As I have said earlier, we have a very difficult and unique name. Part of the pronunciation of that name is absolute unique, and there is no other being with the same name. But part of this name, the middle part, is pronounced in a way that told the others to which family I must use the word, because you haven't the right one in your vocabulary you belong. This means not that all in that group are genetically related to you, because these groups are usually very large and contain between 40 and 70 of us. This group generally includes your genetic relations, except one of them had decided to leave this group, and your connection with father and mother is often the strongest. It would be too difficult for me to explain to you now our very old social system, which is very complex, and we would need many hours only for the primary things. Maybe we can meet another time, and I can give you detailed descriptions of all these things.
Do you have a tail like normal reptiles?
Do you see one? No, we have no visible tail. If you look at our skeleton, there is only a small rounded bone at the end of our spine behind the pelvis. This is a useless rudiment of the tail of our ancestors, but it is not visible from the outside. Oh, our embryos have tails during the first months of development, but these tails disappear before they are born. A tail makes only sense for a primitive species which tries to walk on 2 legs and must hold the balance with the tail. But our skeleton had changed during evolution, and our spine is nearly in the same shape as yours, so we need no tail to stay on 2 feet.
You said that you were born in a different way to us. Do you lay eggs?
Yes, but not like your birds or primitive reptiles. Actually, the embryo grows in a protein liquid inside the mother's womb, but there is also an egg-shaped but very thin chalk hull around it that fills the whole womb. The embryo inside this hull is completely autarkic from the mother's body, and it has every substance it needs to develop inside this chalk hull. There is also a cord like your navel cord, just connected to a point hidden behind the backplates. When the baby is going to be born, the whole egg is pressed through the vagina covered in a slimy protein substance, and the baby comes out of this soft egg after some minutes. These 2 horns on our middle fingers were instinctively used by babies to break through the chalk hull to take their first breath. Our young are not as large as your babies when they were born. They are between 30 and 35 centimeters tall. The egg is around 40 centimeters tall. This is because our vagina is smaller than a human one, but we grow to a normal size of 1.60 to 1.80 meters.
Woo! If you are still awake and able to read this far, I first want to compliment your patience. And without a rich imagination, it would be impossible to translate these richly described words into concrete images in your mind. First is a description of the physical appearance characteristics of the species to which Lacerta belongs, all the way down to the minute physiological functions, such as the process of birth. A basic understanding of reptiles is blended with human characteristics. For those who are not biological professionals, like me, it reads without any feeling of discomfort. But it looks like it should be an innovative social structure and interpersonal relationships, or perhaps kinship relationships, and should be fundamentally different from human social relationships. It is a pity that there is not a clearer description of this, but it is brushed over with the excuse that the issue is too complex. It is clear that the author's understanding of biology or physiology far exceeds that of sociology and anthropology. If you enjoyed this film, please share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming exciting program. Thank you for your anticipation.